Fawlty Towers went beyond sitcoms. The tremendous success turned John make CLE and the cast comedy legends. The show had 2 brief seasons. It was a worldwide hit, collecting accolades and attracting millions of viewers. People still name it one of the funniest TV show ever. Like any good show, what transpired behind the camera was just as important. Intriguing is shown. Blunders, slips, and even one startling moment never edited out. And that scene changed everything. Join us as we examine the series, characters, behind the scenes, and memorable goofs. Created TV history. Rise of Fawlty Towers. Fawlty Towers wasn't just another British sitcom. People talk about it today because it was remarkable. The show's writer John CLE and Connie Booth debuted on BBC Two in 1975. 1979 saw the second series. Only 2 seasons existed. Had 6 episodes apiece, but those 12 made TV history. The story took place in Fawlty Towers, a fictional hotel in seaside town Torca, Devon. This motel was unique. It was hectic and ridiculous. Settings and run by strange personalities. At the center was CLE plays Basil Fawlty. Basil was nasty, tense, and under pressure. His dictatorial wife, Sybil Prunella Scales, was clever, taunched. Polly, the chambermaid, Connie Booth, was the voice of reason who helped resolve issues. Chaos. Andrew Saxes played Manuel, the Spanish waiter. The hilarity was enhanced by his English difficulties. Their combination of laughs and calamities was excellent. The show's humor derived from their struggles to run the hotel with unpleasant customers and transactions. Difficulty was always a possibility. Despite its brief existence, the show grossed millions. It became Britain's favorite show, made its actors comedy legends. Even more intriguing is the genuine life tale that inspired it. What drove the craziness? The idea John Cleese experience inspired Fawlty Towers. May 1970, Cleese and Montepathon's other comedians stayed in Torquay's Glen Eagles Hotel. A hotel manager, Donald Sinclair, inspired Basil Fawlty. Cleese later branded Sinclair the rudest man she'd ever met. He was weird, unpleasant, and occasionally downright rude to guests. Hostile. Sinclair said Terry Gilliam's table manners were bad. Far too American. He threw Eric Idle's suitcase out a window because thought it might be a bomb. Sinclair said, "We've had many staff issues," Monty Python member Michael Palin recalled. That Sinclair considered the group as a major nuisance. A waitress at hotel, Rosemary Harrison, agreed. Sinclair seemed insane to her. Wanted no guests. She said he was unfit for running hotels. Both Cleese and Connie Booth stayed at Glen Eagles longer than others. They desired study Sinclair and get ideas. It works. Sinclair's stuffy, snobby, hostile style inspired Basil Fawlty the character. Televised history makers. The Glen Eagles Hotel opened in 2015. Was destroyed. It was replaced by Saxes Lodge, a retirement home. Andrew Saxes, who played Manuel, died in 2016. These real-life parallels demonstrate how closely fiction and reality were in the creating Fawlty Towers. But Cleese's time on the show wasn't always easy, especially when script approval. From rejection to global fame, John CLE wrote comedy before. In the early 1970s, he worked on medical sitcom Doctor in the House and its weekend London sequels. He was already there. Tried a difficult hotel manager. One 1971 in No Ill Feelings, a character checked into a tiny town motel and was rudely greeted. Aggressive manager and doonering wife. This character was a precursor to Basil Fawlty. However, CLE and Connie Booth authored the original Fawlty Tower script and the BBC didn't like it. Cleese reviewer stated, "This is I cannot stand its cliches and cliched characters. View it as anything other than a calamity." BBC's Jimmy Gilbert comedy head questioned the notion. To CLE, "You must get John, you can't do it all in the hotel." CLE later stated that this comment was entirely irrelevant. "Of course, the whole thing happens in the hotel. Pressure cooker builds up," he said. Though shaky at first, the series soon proved critics wrong. Fawlty Towers won 1976 and 1980. BAT's Best Scripted Comedy Award. 1980, John CLE, he was named Best Entertainer. Series popularity rose over time. It was repeated and admired by fresh generations. In 2000, on their 100 Greatest British Television Programs list, the British Film Institute ranked it first. In 2001, Channel 4 placed Basil Fawlty second on their 100 Best TV Shows. Characters behind Homer. Also in 2019, Radio Times named the greatest British sitcom was Fawlty Towers. BBC has labeled the show the standard for British sitcoms. They commended its rewatchability, don't mention the war, lines, and comic legacy. History. CLE said writing the show was hard. Connie and we spent 6 weeks creating each episode and made little money. He said he disclosed his earnings. £6,000 for 43 weeks and relied on TV ads. Earn enough to continue. I couldn't afford it without the ads. Spent so much time on the script, he said. Thus, while Fawlty Towers appears easy, screen, the effort was intense and the reward afterward. Today, it stands as a humorous sitcom in television history. Discussion of a sequel continues in 2023. The making of Fawlty Towers. No scenes from Fawlty Towers were shot in Torquay, a seaside town. Instead, the exterior photos were taken at Buckinghamshire's Woburn Grange Country Club. The entrance gate with the location's name appears in numerous episodes, including The Kipper and Basil the Rat, The Anniversary, and The Corpse. The series finished. Building became Basil's nightclub. Sadly, in 1991, the property was burned down and demolished for a housing estate. Today, minimal vestiges remain of original site stays. Around Harrow, more filming occurred. Gourmet was a memorable episode. Basil strikes his broken-down automobile with a tree branch at night. That scene was shot at Lapstone Gardens Junction. Northwick Park is famous too. Hospital, seen in the Germans' opening shot. Also in Gourmet, Andre's restaurant facade was filmed on Preston Road for the night edition. Next to a Londonerette, Wings is a Chinese Indian eatery. While these sites brought Fawlty Towers to life, the writing were the real magic. Both Cleese and the Booths were meticulous. They wanted everything perfect. Later in 2025, Booth said Cleese was main conversation writer. Not uncommonly, episodes took 4 months to finish. To require 10 drafts before Cleese and Booth were happy. This meticulous technique yielded display its uniqueness, although writing was only half of it. Editing also contributed greatly to Fawlty Towers' appeal. Perfect script and editing. John CLE often explained the series' success. He said it all comes down to writing quality and effort. Into editing. He informed an interviewer that a typical BBC half-hour comedy screenplay comprised 65 lines. Pages. Fawlty Towers scripts were 135 to 140 pages. That meant each episode has twice as much content. CLE said an average comedy show may use roughly 200 camera cuts, whereas Fawlty Towers used 400. So there was, and he stated it was huge. Additionally, they were well built. Once filming concluded, editing took hours. CLE says they spent 20 to 25 hours. Episode editing. The editing was aggressive. His explanation, almost every minute you see up on the screen, we spent 1 hour editing. So you could only tighten it by doing that. Just tighten and remove conversation. Sometimes eliminate repetition. They'll lose 2 lines of conversation there. That accelerated it. This meticulousness made the quick and crisp. There was no drag. Nothing felt needless. Every scenario advanced the plot. This careful editing provided Fawlty Towers its energy and timing make comedy seem natural. To enhance character, even the music contributed to the show. Dennis Wilson wrote, and the Ion recorded the theme. Quartet. Director John Howard Davies instructed the troupe to play it poorly. To match the hotel's clumsiness. They didn't play poorly. The piece fit the series perfectly. After all this preparation, the show was polished and exact. Unlike anything else on TV, the series style kept it alive after it ended. Reissued for global fans. Fawlty Towers' voyage on home media. Fawlty Towers debuted on home video in 1984. 3 programs were on each of BBC Video's 4 tapes. To all credits were moved to the end of each tape to fit. Later in 1993, a laser disc was released. The US version merged all episodes into one big feature. A digital remaster was released in 1994. Another reissue in 1997 saw a CLE interview. By 2001, fans could Fawlty Towers, complete series on DVD. Several versions were available. Regions like the UK, US, and Australia. A collector's edition followed. Also released. One intriguing fact is that the original DVD version, the episode The Kipper and the Corpse, featured a missing sentence. Basil asks Mr. Lehman, who wants breakfast in bed, "Is it your legs?" That sentence was removed, but restored. Remastered versions later. Eventually, Fawlty Towers made it onto many formats. Series 1 had a PlayStation UMD video. Portable. BBC America released a remastered Fawlty DVD collection in 2009. Towers Special Edition Remaster. This version includes Clee's comments on every episode, including better audio and video. Also, the show relocated into digital age. Fans could buy and watch the series on Amazon, UK Prime Video, and iTunes. In 2021, the complete show was available on BBC iPlayer. However, certain re-releases were controversial. And after the BBC removed the Germans from UK in 2020, CLE condemned them. TV streaming. It was removed for offensive language. By important character. Channel later indicated shows would be reinstated with content advisory. Messages. Reruns in 2013 included cut Germans. 2021, partly due to UK broadcast regulations. These edits demonstrate comedy. Modern standards may conflict with 1970s standards. The fact remains the show's multiple incarnations demonstrate its importance in comedy. And this fans, critics, and prizes recognize its relevance. Recognize the show for years. Reception and legacy of Fawlty Towers. Not everyone liked Fawlty Towers when it debuted. Some critics harsh. The 1975 Daily Mirror headlined, "Long John Short on Gags." Spectator writer Richard Ingrams also wrote negatively. Review, but CLE avenged himself cleverly. In Series 2, he called a hotel guest Mr. Ingrams. He was apprehended subsequently, holding a blow-up doll in his room, referencing the critic. However, while some despite harsh reviews, many were positive. The Sunday Times dubbed it the funniest sitcom in years. Clive James of The Observer remarked the second hilarious episode made him retch. Peter Fiddick of The Guardian called the show a hit, regardless of a season with lots of comedy and one of the funniest shows to come from any TV. When the first series ended, the Daily Mail named the finale the best. Day, writing, Fawlty Towers, the entertaining show, closes tonight. BBC One's wider audience should see it again. Praise increased over time. The 2000 British Film Institute named Fawlty Towers the best British TV show ever. It placed 5th in 2004. Britain's best sitcom. The 2006 vote placed it second only to Frasier. Ultimate Sitcom Comedy Writer Poll. Britain voted Basil Fawlty Britain's funniest comic character in a TV5 vote. In 1997, the Incident TV Guide placed the Germans 12th on its 100 greatest episodes list. All time. In 2024, Empire magazine ranked the show at number 22 on their 100 greatest TV programs list. These honors and recognitions cemented Fawlty Towers' TV legacy. It was brief, hectic, and unforgettable. Did you know that not everyone believed in it at first? Rocky start. BBC executives had major misgivings about the sitcom. Graham McCann wrote that some producers were unimpressed at all when reading early scripts. In the BBC bar, one said, "Oh dear, why did he ever leave Monty Python?" Another executive wrote, circulating a memo saying, "Uninteresting circumstance and script. Cliched characters. I see only calamity if we go ahead." With that reaction, it's no surprise the show started slowly. The BBC only published one 2-page article about the episode. A journalist who had never seen the show wrote in Radio Times. First episode had just under 2 million views, which was good, but not impressive. Millions more watched BBC One News. Other popular shows airing simultaneously. Reviews were divided. Evening Standard called the plot thin and apparent, while Daily Mirror said, "Long John lacks depth." Some ignored it, but Cleels persevered through the early days. And Booth persisted because they believed in their difficult scripts. Cleels later stated, "Connie and I spent 6 weeks together. He said the only way he could afford to write each episode was to make little money. Keep working was through ads. I thank the advertising industry. Without the advertising, I couldn't have spent so much time on the script." The show gradually gained viewers, and soon. But what made Fawlty Towers even more intriguing was the blend of the cast and crew were behind-the-scenes talent. John was the star. CLE played Basil Fawlty, although his then-wife Connie co-wrote the series. Booth, who played knowledgeable and reasonable Polly Sherman. Their marriage terminated between seasons. CLE wrote most of Basil's dialogue when they worked professionally. Booth shaped Sybil's lines. Proper balance gave the play its Ballard. Berkeley's major was a notable character. Seen, bewildered but lovely. Berkeley had been in show. He has worked in movies and theater before joining Fawlty Towers. They were Cary Grant's roommates before stardom. When Cary Grant was Archie Leach, they shared an apartment. Bob Spears, who directed the second season, began his career. He was an assistant floor manager in 1960s television. In Doctor Who, in 1997, Spears directed the cast, crew, and Spice Girls' Spice World. Career was unconventional but memorable. Directors were brilliant and risk-takers. Sometimes actual set accidents resulted from those dangers. Basil typically found Manuel, Andrew Saxes, at the center. Despite the hilarity, Saxes sometimes suffered. Basil attempted to start a fire in the season 1 finale with the Germans. To film Manuel accidentally starting a kitchen fire, the smoke-producing chemicals in Saxes' garment burned his arm so badly it turned. The BBC awarded Saxes £700 in damages for plum red Mackin, was just over $1,000. Sax also had other injuries. The unfortunate waiter in the wedding party, Basil hit Cleels, tried to make Manuel's head hot during rehearsals. He hit Sax harder than anticipated in one take, despite looking light. Cleels later stated, "I don't know why we practiced all week with me beating him with a saucepan. Lacked a rubber saucepan. I was trying to slide strike Andrew, but he stopped me. Straightened up, and I caught him a terrible one. I'm afraid he had a headache for 2 days." Saxes never did. Protested openly, but these times demonstrated how far the actors went for comedy. The anguish was real, even if the show's legacy was enhanced by louder laughter. Golden comedy, so cutting and genuine that performers got harmed. You see, 50 years have passed since September 1975 marked our first stay at Basil Fawlty's wild unlucky hotel. Few expected 12 episodes to impact British comedy for decades. We still quote phrases and chuckle at the commotion on the 50th anniversary brings nostalgia and reality. Fans wonder, reboot? Coming? The key has been discussed by John CLE, but nothing has transpired. Faces were missing. Prunella Scales, who played Sybil, left. Dementia, her husband Timothy West said a revival would be incomplete without her or Andrew Saxes. "I believe if it were me, I'd say you did it. It was perfect. Some loved it. What's next?" John too struggles with the past. And Connie Booth split in 1978 during their second and final season. Stayed amicable for their daughter Cynthia, but some feel the separation hurt third season expectations. Years later, John wanted to reboot with his daughter Camila, but Connie objected. She requested a heads up. The monumental show required teamwork, timing, and challenging decisions. Who wrote Fawlty would become a contentious issue. Towers' story was basic for years. John CLE and Connie Booth wrote the play. Connie played Polly. For the 50th anniversary, she elected to clarify. She told Radio Times that John authored the dialogue while they developed it. Plots, saying each episode takes a month to develop. His excellent sentences sprang from farce, absurd difficulties. Connie felt credits were written by John CLE and plot by us. John claimed TV comedy didn't accomplish that and urged 84-year-old Connie, said she was applauded for lines John actually wrote. When fans quoted them, she felt fake. Proud of the show's genuine, honest background. The comedy was tight, sharp, yet attribution was difficult. Authorship stress never subsided. Another fight erupts while credit fights can live on paper, onto screens, and streaming menus worldwide. The topic of how to handle an objectionable program. Language. Fawlty Towers' missing episode is a masterpiece, although some sections have aged poorly. German-British actor Andrew Saxes played Manuel. Many think the position became a caricature that pushed cliches. In 2020, BBC-owned UK TV removed the Germans because a racist insult by Major Goen is removed from the program. John CLE reacted to platforms reviewing earlier episodes with inappropriate language. Hard, calling the decision cowardly, gutless, and contemptible. He claimed BBC is run by marketing and bureaucrats. Other shows like Till Death Us Do Part used censorship, which he called dumb. After indignation and controversy, UK TV exposed the character's abhorrent ideas. Announced it will air the program with a warning about potentially harmful content. Objectionable language. Cuts have been made before. To accommodate a 7:30 p.m. family, the BBC modified the scene in 2013. Audience slot, adding that public opinion has shifted dramatically since its creation. Recently, artists and spectators have requested context and change. Many support warnings and better choices. Both series are available. The show is still popular in Australia, where Stan streams it. Fans kept debating while we showed it differently, finding the subtle on-screen flaws that reveal studio magic. Goofs, unsteady walls, and hotel that changed shape. Long and curiously amusing goofs list. Slips appear across episodes. Second floor layout changes. Numbers change. Kitchen stoves emerge and depart. Inside and outside the front door look different. The grandfather clock shows different times. Some errors are discussed by fans. Sybil claims 22 hotel rooms. An inspector states there are 26, but builders say Fawlty's will hire unconventional construction. Teams may explain the transformation, and mistakes break the spell. The internal arrangement would place a windowless kitchen against the building's front left, but external pictures show a massive bow window. Walls wobble, revealing the internal arrangement differs from the outside in various places. The kitchen and stairway should have bay windows, and the dining room door bay window should be flat, and the bar's half of the structure is an outside. An arch reading when Country Club appears at the driveway entry in some episodes, revealing the exterior. Location, the opening credit sign swings to defective towers, Fawlty when outside, towels, and more are never seen. Craft appears, boom mic enters, and camera zooms to hide. These mistakes make the show more human. Move, shots shift, rooms breathe. The hotel becomes a pandemonium stage, where laughter triumphs and one truth endures every mistake and cut. Rings down the corridor. Fawlty Towers' story was always the same, brazen as the mayhem around it. Which stunned you more? John Cleese and Connie's off-screen controversies? Comment on Booth or the BBC's Germans episode poll. Comment below, like, subscribe, and keep tuned for see you next time for more amazing Hollywood history stories.